What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Between the Numbers Sports Podcast and Show. I'm your host. And before we jump into the episode, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already subscribed to the channel and hit that bell notification button so you stay up to date with any new, uh, you know, uploads or videos that we drop here on the channel. And as always, I do want to say thanks to everyone who has supported the channel so far, whether or not you left a like, a comment, or you subscribed. I do greatly appreciate it. All right, so it may be the off season for the NFL and college football, but is there really ever an off season in the NFL and college football? But tonight we're going to be talking about the NFL, right? So the league year starts March 13th and teams can start negotiating with free agents on March 11th. So I was looking at the list of free agents, and there's some big names on the free agency list. So if you look at the quarterbacks, right, you got Kirk Cousins. At the wide receiver spot, you got T Higgins, right? But the offensive side of the ball I want to stay on. The side of the ball, well, the position on the offensive side of the ball that I see that's loaded with some big time names is the running back position, right? So I'll just name a few guys who are on the who's a free agent that's a running back, right? So you got Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler. You got Zeke. But I want to bump up. Uh, so I want to talk about these players, right? You got Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler, and DeAndre DeAndre Swift, right? He played with the Eagles last year. Um, I can't remember the last time a running back free agency was this loaded. You got Derrick Henry, who was pretty much the offense for the Tennessee Titans, who, they're allowing him to hit the free agency market. Um, you got Josh Jacobs, who pretty much carried the Raiders on his back a few years ago. They're letting him hit the free market. You got Saquon Barkley, who I think the Giants made a mistake with because they decided to pay Daniel Jones and they decided to franchise tag Saquon Barkley. And I think they should have paid Saquon Barkley and they should have just franchise tagged Daniel Jones. But hey, what do I know? So he's looking for a new team, or possibly going to a new team. And then you got Tony Pollard, which I thought was funny because the Cowboys kind of ran Zeke out of town for Tony Pollard, and then now Tony Pollard is on a unrestricted free agent, right? So the Cowboys can bring him back, right? All of these guys could potentially be brought back to the teams that um, drafted them. Um, Austin Eckler, which I feel like he's going to stay with the Chargers because um, the new head coach Jim Harbaugh came out and said that he would love to have Austin Eckler back. Now it could just be all talk, it could just be a smoke screen, but um, I feel like I feel like he's gonna go back to the Los Angeles Chargers. And then, like I said, you got DeAndre Swift, right, who played with the Eagles last year. And so he was another do-it-all type of guy when he was with the Lions. Um, and then, the Lions decided to get rid of both of their do-it-all running backs, right? They had Jamal Williams and then they had DeAndre Swift, and they let both of them walk out the door. But I definitely think in terms of Derrick Henry, right? Derrick Henry has gotten paid pretty good in NFL. Um, at one point, he was pretty much one of the top five highest paid running backs in NFL, and he definitely deserves it. He is 30 years old, I believe. Uh, yep, 30 years old, and I know a lot of I know what the NFL says about running backs, right? That you can have a running back by committee, you can have a stable deep with a bunch of different running backs, and that running backs pretty much are come a dime a dozen, and up. last year you saw a lot of running backs who wasn't able to get paid because teams didn't want to pay them. But with Derrick Henry, right? Derrick Henry is a workout warrior. If you look at Derrick Henry's social media in the offseason, the dude is doing all of these crazy workouts. He keeps himself in phenomenal shape. And Derrick Henry hasn't had that many injuries. He really hasn't. He's had a few injuries, but he hasn't had that many injuries, especially to like like the things that really cause concerns when it comes to running backs, like pretty much their knees, right? He hasn't had any crazy injuries to his knees. And I feel like Derrick Henry now, with the fact that he's been paid very well by the Tennessee Titans, I think now he's probably going to be looking to um, play for a contender, right? And I'm an Eagles fan, but it's hard to believe anything right now, but I've been seeing some things linking Derrick Henry to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles seem to rent running backs for the season, right? They rented DeAndre Swift this last season. He's a free agent now. I don't know if they're going to bring him back, but it would seem like something that the Eagles would do, which would bring Derrick Henry in, right? Because the Eagles Super Bowl window is still open. We got to figure it out on offense and all of that stuff. But I feel like the Eagles could bring in Derrick Henry, right? Because again, Deontay Swift is on this list. And then, like I said, you got Saquon Barkley, right? Saquon Barkley is had a pretty good year last year. I mean, the guy was the offense for the New York Giants. He's definitely probably going to be looking to get paid because he really hasn't gotten his payday yet in the NFL. But I also would think that that Saquon is looking to get paid and go to a team where he could win. Right? Hasn't done much winning. Hasn't been a part of much winning with the New York Giants, but I'm pretty sure he's looking to have a good balance. He wants to get paid, and he also wants to be a part of a winning organization. And then Tony Pollard, it is what it is with Tony Pollard. Again, I find it funny because they ran Zeke out of town at one time. A lot of the sports analysts and fans were saying, "Man, let Tony Pollard be the starter, let Zeke come off the bench or whatever." And then, like, Zeke goes to the New England Patriots. Tony Pollard is the feature back, and now he's on the free agency, the free agent market. Um, Austin Eckler, again, another guy who deserves a big payday and who hasn't received a payday yet. So pretty sure he's looking for a nice payday, and he's probably also looking to go to a team that's a contender. And you got DeAndre Swift, right? I'm pretty sure DeAndre Swift is looking for another home. And it's funny because, the whole time DeAndre Swift was in uh, Detroit, they was pretty much trash. And then he was there when they started, like, really turning it on with Dan Campbell. And then, boom, he goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Lions go further in the playoffs than the Philadelphia Eagles. So I find that funny. So, but, you know, all of these teams could still bring these guys back. So they're unrestricted free agents. But what a lot of these teams do is they tell these guys, hey, go on the open market, see what you can get. And then, teams will match it, right? And so if someone says, hey, the highest bidder offers, Austin Eckler, I don't know, 3 years, 21 million, right? So that's roughly about 7 million a year, right? Or something like that. I'm just throwing out some numbers, right? Don't beat me up for the numbers, but you know, the Chargers can offer him, right? The Chargers can counter offer. They can be like, hey man, look, they want to give you 7. That's too much. We don't want to give that much. We don't want to pay a running back that much. So Austin Eckler can walk, or the Chargers can match it, or they can, offer a better number. So although these guys are unrestricted free agents, they could end up back on the teams that drafted them. And the one thing that we know about free agency is some teams going to overreact, right? They're gonna be some terrible teams who's gonna overspend because they're looking to add big names and you know dynamic players to possibly get them over the hump or to sell tickets. You got to think the Washington Redskins, right? I would not be surprised if one of these really good running backs ended up on the Washington Redskins. Uh, and then you're going to have some teams who are looking just to add more depth at the running back position who are also contenders, like the Philadelphia Eagles. Who else is a team that I can think of off the top of my head that may be looking for another running back? I mean, well, shit, the Cowboys need another running back too. I mean, I don't think they're gonna roll with that kid Vaughn. The kid, I mean, he was good last season, but he's a little undersized, right? So maybe the Cowboys may be looking for another running back to add into that stable, right? So they might bring back Tony Pollard, or they might try to go get Derrick Henry or one of these other guys. We don't know, but these guys could end up back on their same teams, or they could end up elsewhere. But free agency is crazy because some teams gonna overpay. Um, some teams is gonna, you know, reach, and some teams are gonna be really frugal and just try to see what they can get. And a lot of teams are gonna wait until after the draft, right? Like a lot of these guys are not gonna get on any teams until after the draft because some teams just want to see how the draft unfolds and see what they can get in the draft. And then if they feel confident with the players that they get in the draft that was on their draft board, um, they might decide not to even associate with a veteran running back unless it's later in the season and they have injuries, and then you might see a lot of these guys get a job, like Leonard Fournette, right? Leonard Fournette was pretty much off all last season. The Bills brought him in. He was on the practice squad. He played one game and then they cut him. So you can see that type of scenario, especially if someone gets injured. So, but yeah, definitely a crazy free agent market potentially for the running back position. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to where these guys go. I would love to see the Eagles land Derrick Henry. I really would, but we have to see. Let me know in the comments section below what team you would like to see. Yeah, let me know in the comment section who you would like your team to pursue at the running back position or at any position, right? Whether it's on the offense side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball. So that's it for me. Again, appreciate everyone who supports the channel. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and consider leaving a like and a comment and going back and watch previous content that has been uploaded on this channel. Until next time, I'm out.